Welcome everyone. Before we get started here tonight, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Lorana Orr, and I'm a special education teacher here in your school district. I have taught special education for the past 11 years, and I'm currently seeking to get my reading endorsement. And I thought it was important for all of you to understand the current literacy program and how we plan to ensure your child's success here in the school. And I thank all of you for taking your time out of your evening to learn about our plans and your child. Some of you may be sitting here tonight thinking, what is literacy? Or possibly you might be thinking that it's all about reading. Well, through the class that I've been taking, trying to get my reading endorsement, I've been reading this book titled The Essentials of Teaching Children to Read. The Teacher Makes the Difference. And it's by Ritzel and Cooter. And they define literacy as a set of print-based decoding and rudimentary thinking skills necessary to remember a text. According to the title of the book, you may think that teaching literacy is left up to the teacher. Would you be surprised if I told you it wasn't? It takes a team of people to make literacy happen in order for your child to be successful. Those people may include, but aren't limited to, the principal, teachers, and that just doesn't mean the reading teacher. That means all teachers across content area classes. The students, families, support staff, which might be the paraeducators and literacy coaches, and the community. So we have this team of people, and you might be asking yourself, how do they fit in, or what is their job to ensure my child's success? We're going to discuss each player and what that might look like. Let's start with the principal, since he or she is the leader in the building. The principal's job is definitely to be knowledgeable about any current research or instruction that's taken place, possibly strategies to support those students, especially those students that struggle, but to ensure that all students continue to learn. He should also communicate with all staff and make sure that there's a set of clear expectations and outcomes in regards to literacy. He also should be available to be able to support his teachers by giving them feedback or providing suggestions for continued improvement. And he should allow teachers to have some independence to be able to differentiate the instruction in the classroom according to the needs of the students. Teachers' jobs should be able to differentiate instruction in the classroom, meaning to be able to determine where students are struggling and be able to adjust instruction or find some strategies that will ensure that each child is going to be successful. Reading should also be able to be taught across all content areas, not just by the reading teacher. So if the science teacher is teaching about reptilians, then he should be able to teach the students in regards to how to access that information in textbooks or online or whatever it is that he has for expectations in his classroom. How to be able to read his textbooks, so to be able to follow the headings or look at the vocabulary, possibly even looking at pictures to determine content area information. Also, teachers should be able to create a classroom environment that makes students want to read and write for all reasons. They should have a variety of reading materials available, and not only a variety of reading materials, but the reading materials should be at varying reading levels, because some students, even though they might be in third grade, might only be reading at a second grade level, or some even be reading at a fourth grade level. So if they can have varying reading levels available, that will continue to ensure student success as well. But it needs to be similar information that's being provided to each student. Even though students are there to learn, they also have jobs in regards to their learning. to ensure that they get out of class or reading or whatever it might be, what it is that is expected of them. They should be able to read inside class and outside class to continue to improve, and not only just read for fun, but read for information as well. They should ask questions to clarify expectations or information. So if they're not understanding something, they know they're not understanding it. So they need to be advocates for themselves, to be able to ask those questions to help continue to learn what it is that is expected of them. They should use a variety of reading strategies to ensure success. So if they're taught various reading strategies in class, to be able to know how to put those to use is essential to continue to grow. Yes, families, you have a job too. Being supportive of your student in all areas of reading is really important. Relishing in their accomplishments as well as them, to show your support is very encouraging and helps make your child want to do more. Being able to read to your child is a great opportunity to continue with their reading abilities, and ensuring that asking your child questions about the reading. And one of the greatest ways that you could maybe have a conversation with them is while you're sitting at the dinner table and saying, talking to them about their learning, and if they're reading any books, or if they're reading in science, what did you learn about today? Tell me about that. Just open-ended questions where it's not a yes, no, or just a simple answer. Just be able to expand those questions and answers is great. Next, we have our support staff, and I've listed a couple here: literacy coaches and paraeducators. And I know there's others, but these are two that we currently have in our district that play an important role in regards to literacy. Our literacy coaches should be able to share current research with staff that's being used out there and being successful. They can also come into the classrooms and provide additional reading instruction to demonstrate any new strategies that they may have learned about and that they are being very successful in other classrooms. And they should be knowledgeable and available for questions and supporting staff in any other way that they may need it. Our paraeducators are there to assist our teachers as needed as well, and they should be able to listen to students read, and they can ask questions as well, open-ended questions, to continue to expand on that reading and comprehension. Community is the last team player that I had listed, and they're there to provide us testing results and comparative data to be able to look at and to know where we need to make improvements if necessary. And one of those examples would be the Iowa assessments that are oftentimes given in school districts, and possibly provide reading and mentors or volunteers that can come in and once again listen to students read, and they can continue to ask questions too. Another way the community provides support is the Common Core standards that are put out there for as a foundation for schools to build off of and kind of have an idea of where students should be at what point in their literacy goals. Some of you may not be familiar with the Common Core. Some of you may not be familiar with the Common Core, or maybe you've heard it mentioned before, but really aren't quite sure what that is. So the Iowa Core is a set of literacy standards, and it's, like I previously stated, it's a foundation for school districts to build off of in regards to literacy or other subject areas as well. Each grade level has a set of standards or goals where students should be at the different grades. Each grade also builds off of the previous ones. So if third grade has one set of expectations, and then fourth grade would have another, and each time time at each grade level as the students grow, the standards get to be a little bit more in depth. As we all know, technology has become a very important part of everything we do in life, and it continues to play an important role in education. I've listed a couple of ways that technology has helped us or that it's used in regards to literacy in the district. It does open a lot of doors for students to be able to read multiple types of materials, and it makes it possible for students, if they're writing materials, can write those and publish them, which provides them feedback from peers in their school or even outside of their community that read their writing. I mentioned reading materials before. I've just listed a few things here that are being incorporated into classrooms at this point. Of course, we have our traditional books, and it varies whether we have fiction or nonfiction, variety of genres, and also supplying various grade levels of reading materials. And it's important for teachers and to be able to teach the students how to choose a book at their own reading level, so that's being offered as well. We also have magazines, newspapers, and multiple online sources. Of course, with the district being a one-to-one Chromebook district, it just, like I said before, opens up so many more opportunities. Classrooms have their own libraries, and then of course the school library has books as well. However, the school library is more for entertainment type reading. Informational is there as well, but most of like the research projects that are being done, they're doing more research online for that type of information. What are the essentials that are needed for your child to be able to be successful in literacy? Ensuring that your child develops an oral language, the use of phonics and word recognition, reading fluency, increasing the vocabulary across all areas, all content areas, and reading comprehension. What are the essentials that are needed for your child to be able to be successful in literacy? Ensuring that your child develops an oral language. So a lesson plan may include some of the following. The teacher would set the expectations and the purpose for the reading task. Students always are wondering, why is it that we have to do this, or why is it we have to do that? And if the teacher has a clear purpose for that, then they have an understanding of why it's important that they follow through. Teacher determines students' prior knowledge of the topic. What experiences have they had in regards to that topic that is currently being talked about. The teacher needs to make sure that she models the expectation, making sure that she uses good, poor examples, and also giving the students time to have guided practice, and that the teacher is there working through things with them until they get the concept down and are able to move forward and do independent practice. I've listed some sample reading strategies. Of course, these are just a few. There's so many that we could probably sit and talk about them all night. But one of them is repeated readings. This is just giving students the opportunity to be able to read a text multiple times. This increases their reading fluency as well as possibly their vocabulary. And scaffolding silent reading requires to choose from books from different genres but of high interest topics, so that it'll keep their interest. And then partner or paired reading, students that struggle are paired with a more fluent partner and they read the material together. Differentiated instruction provides teaching that meets the needs of all students, and it really reaches those that are struggling in certain areas. In order to decide what needs to be done, ongoing assessments are done throughout the lessons or daily. And to help incorporate some of the differences, the creation of various learning centers could make this possible, and each center would have a designated learning goal. As far as assessments are concerned, there's 4 purposes for assessments. There's outcome assessments, screening assessments, diagnostic assessments, and then progress monitoring assessments. Outcome assessments, they take student test scores, other hard data, and they look at the class as a whole to see what type of progress is being made. Also, screening assessments helps the teacher determine whether the student is struggling, or which areas that the students are struggling with in regards to their reading abilities. Diagnostics assessment gives information about students' strengths and weaknesses. And then there's progress monitoring assessments. As far as assessments are concerned, there's 4 purposes for assessments. There's outcome assessments, screening assessments, diagnostic assessments, and then progress monitoring assessments. This slide addresses reading tiers. Reading tiers is a way to provide struggling readers with intervention services to be able to be successful in the general education classroom. Tier 1 intervention is actually provided in the general education classroom, so the student does not get pulled out away from what's going on in the core class to be able to receive these services. Tier 2 intervention is short-term, although it is on a pull-out basis. So the student comes out of the general education classroom into a smaller setting with possibly multiple other students to be able to receive services to improve on the areas that they're weakest in. And hopefully this is short-term and they can go back into the classroom, the general education classroom. Tier 3, however, is more intensive, and it is on a longer-term basis, and it is set there to meet the needs of the students, but it is also on a pull-out basis. So it addresses the students' needs, but on longer-term scale. I know all of you are probably sitting there thinking to yourself, or maybe I know all of you are probably sitting there thinking to yourself. I know all of you are probably sitting there thinking to yourself, or maybe you're not, but where do I start? I threw a lot of information at you tonight, and I hope that many of you find it very useful in the days to come, or possibly years to come even, as you start thinking about your children getting older, maybe even getting to the point where you're thinking about grandchildren. This can be beneficial for them as well. Setting aside some time on a daily basis to listen to your child read. If you can do that, I know time is very valuable, but if you could find that consistent time to be with them, they're going to look forward to that, and it's not only time with you, but they get to read to you, and you will listen, and that is very encouraging them for wanting it to do, to happen more. Also, setting aside some time on a daily basis to read to your child. Okay, not just listening to them read, but they like to listen to you read as well. Talking to your child at the dinner table or in your car, driving from place to place. I know I spend a lot of time traveling from place to place, taking my kids here or there. But if you can utilize that time and talk about the day and what happened, at school, what did they learn to help them expand on their comprehension would be great. Not just listening to them talk, but being an active listener, asking questions to clarify or getting them to expand on what it is that they learned about would really be great. Also, choosing a good book to read together. I know as our children get older, we sometimes, they're too old to read to, or to listen to them read. So maybe if you chose a good book that each of you would read independently together, and then you could come to the table or find some special spot to sit and kind of have conversations about it, a little book talk, if you will, or a book Again, I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight and spending part of your evening with me. I really appreciate that. I hope that this presentation was very informative for you and helpful. And I hope that you'll be able to figure out some time or a place that you can spend time with your child and read or listen or even talk with them. If you have any questions, I'll have a question and answer session at the end of this. And also, I've included on this last slide my email address, so you're welcome to contact me there, or you can call the school. And also, if you have questions, you may contact your principal or your child's teacher. So once again, thank you and have a good night.